Hello, my name is Sulaiman Nawi, and I will be giving a video presentation about the relationship between the minutes of study and the final score received for 15 students. So this is me and the rest of my group members. I will be giving the introduction. So to give a background for the study, spacing out study sessions over time is better for the long-term memory retention. Last-minute cramping may help pass an exam, but it doesn't lead to lasting information recall. Studies have consistently shown that longer breaks between study periods yield better results. In the data used for this study, the dependent variable is the final score in percentage, while the independent variable is the minutes of study. This study was to give an analysis of the relationship between the minutes of study and the final score achieved by the 15 different students. So in the study, we have two objectives, which is to acquire the skewness of the data and to determine the relationship between the minutes of study and the final score by the 15 different students. So to talk about the significance of the study, while the primary goal of studying is to gain knowledge and skills for benefits for oneself or others, students usually have either multiple short study sessions or one long session. There are many variables that might affect how effective their studying sessions are, but in this study, we're going to give more focus towards the amount of time spent studying. Uh, Multiple laboratory studies have suggested that distributing the study time over several hours might be better for long term learning than condensing the study time into fewer hours prior to the test. And with this study and the data we can get from it, we can show the most effective way to spend the time studying, thus letting the students achieve more with less effort. That's it from me. I'll be passing it on to my group mates.
Hi, I'm Muhammad Irsyad Basuki and I'm gonna continue the presentation with my part, which is the methodology part. Methodology includes data description, graphical technique as well as numerical technique. So to begin, let's start with the data description. This data consists of two different variables, which are the minutes of study and final score. These two different variables are the same type of variable, which are continuous variable, and both of them are ratio level data. As for graphical technique, we applied two different methods, which are the box and whisker plot and the scatter plot. Box and the whisker plot will display 5-value summary of set data, which are the minimum value, first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, as well as maximum value. Meanwhile, scatter plot will display the relationship between two numerical variables, and it can be both positive and negative. What you guys can see in the slides are the examples of them. Methodology continues with the numerical technique, and it specifies into 6 different measurements, which are the measure of central tendency, measure of position, measure of dispersion, measure of skewness, regression analysis, as well as the correlation analysis. As you guys already know, the measure of central tendency determines the common value of mean, median, and mode. Meanwhile, measure of position determines the value of all quartile, which are the first quartile, second quartile, and third quartile of a data set. Next is the measure of dispersion, which calculates the value of variance, standard deviation, and the range of a data set. Speaking about the measure of skewness, this measurement has 3 possible outcomes, which are the positively skewed, negatively skewed, as well as the normal distribution. As for the correlation analysis, the value of Pearson's product moment, correlation coefficient, and the coefficient of determination are determined. Meanwhile, regression analysis consists of various types, which are the simple linear, multiple linear, and finally, non-linear.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Muhammad Azim by Jaidon. Today, I will present about data presentation. The following dataset contains two different variables. The first one is minutes of study, and the second one is final score received for 15 different students. Next, the box and whisker plot shows the distribution of minute of study and the final score. For minute of study, the minimum value is 0 and the maximum value is 125. The measure of skewness obtained is negative 0.254, which is lower than 0. So, the distribution of minutes of study is skewed to the left due to the negative value obtained. For the final score, the minimum value is 16 and the maximum value is 100. The measured skewness obtained is negative 0.214, which is lower than 0. So, the distribution of final score is skewed to the left due to the negative value obtained. For the next slide is scatter plot. The plot graph shows a positive correlation between minute of study and the final score. Descriptive statistical analysis was determined as shown in the figure below. For the measure of central tendency are split to 3 points, which are mean, median, and mode. The value of mean for minutes of study is 17.33, while for the final score is 83.7. Then the value of median for minutes of study is 75, while final score is 18. Then the value of mood for minutes of study is 75, while for the final score is 77. The next slide is measure of position. The minimum value of minute of study is 0, while final score is 16. The maximum value of minutes of study is 125, while final score is 100. The value of first quartile minute of study is 45, while final score is 77. The values for second quartile of minute of study is 75, while final score is 18. The value third quartile of minute of study is 105, while final score is 95. The measure of dispersion for the standard deviation of minute of study is 38.6129, while final score is 11.8289. The value of variance of minute of study is 1419.952, while for the final score is 139.924. The range of minute of study is 1 to 5, while final score is 14. The last one is measure of skewness. The skewness of minute of study is negative 0.254, while final score is negative 0.214.
Next, I'm gonna continue the video with my part, which are the correlation and regression analysis. So let's start with the correlation analysis first. According to the table, the value of the correlation coefficient, R, is 0.590. This basically indicates that the correlation between minutes of study and the final score are positively correlated. Meanwhile, the value of the coefficient of determination, R squared, is 0.348. This shows that 34.8 of the percentage of variation are explained by minutes of study, and the other 65.2 of the remaining percentage of variation are explained by other factors. Next, we continue with the regression analysis, and as you guys can basically see in the slide, the value in the table are substituted into the specific equation, which results in us getting the slope of the regression line, B, which is 0.181. To analyze, when the minutes of study are increased by 1 minute, the final score will increase by 0.181%.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohd Fariz Ikhwan bin Asriya. Today I will continue this presentation with a conclusion. So in a conclusion, the main objective of this study is to acquire the skewness of data and to determine the relationship between minute of study and final score by 15 different students, which has been successfully achieved. Also, by investigating the correlation between minute of study and final score, It adds to the knowledge and skill in the application of statistical data. The data was fully evaluated by using IBM SPSS due to its capability to perform qualitative analysis on the data set as displayed in the result section. A variety of methods, including graphical and numerical one, were used in order to conduct this research. Graphical approach utilization includes scatter plot, box Whisker plot, while numerical method include measure of central tendency, measure of position, measure of dispersion, as well as measure of skewness. Two different variables were identified in this particular study. Minute of study function as the independent variable, while final score function as the dependent variable. Based on the scatter plot, minute of study and final score have a positive correlation, which has been proven by the value of correlation coefficient, which is 0.590. As for the correlation of determination, R square, which is 0.348, this indicates that 34.8% of the variation of final score can be explained by the variation of minute of study, while the remaining 65.2% can be explained by other deciding factor. And the last one, as for the substitution of linear regression equation, which is y equals 70 pi 0.365 plus 0.181x, this specifies that when the minute of study are increased by 1 minute, the final score will increase by 0.181%. In another term, as the minute of study increase, the final score will also increase. So that's all from us. Thank you for watching this video. Assalamualaikum. Bye.